Welcome to the Utensil Teaching Lab. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mom.
We hope you are staying safe during this pandemic. Whether you are remote or physically in the lab, we want you to play your part in keeping yourself and those around you safe from all hazards.
This short video will provide you with a few of our main rules and regulations. We will cover 5 main points: access, safety, chemicals and biological hazards, equipment, and cleanliness.
Let's start with access. Before accessing the lab, you must complete the online safety form. This form can be found on our website or by going to the link below. Take the lab virtual tour before coming in by visiting the facility section on the website and clicking on the lab you will be working in. Virtually familiarizing yourself with the lab will minimize the amount of time you spend in the lab. All brainstorming and experimental preparation that can be done remotely needs to be done remotely. You should only be coming into the lab to use instruments. Buddy system still applies during COVID. Students need to work in the presence of a supervisory personnel, such as an instructor, TA, or lab management. So, remember to bring a buddy. Finally, dress accordingly. Make sure you put on long pants that go up to your ankles, shoes that cover your entire feet, and masks to cover your face. Masks must be worn at all times while in the building. Safety. Moving on to lab safety. We mentioned a few things you can do to be safe before coming into the lab. Now, let's talk about safety when you are in the lab. Wash all the germs away by sanitizing or washing your hands when you enter and exit the lab. Make sure you get familiar with all the rooms you are working in, paying close attention to all the exits, safety showers, and eye wash stations. You can find all first aid and spill kits under the sinks. Aside from wearing a mask and proper pants and shoes, you must wear additional personal protective equipment. The baseline PPE requirements for all wet labs are lab coats and gloves. Depending on your experiments, your instructor may require additional PPE. When in doubt as to what PPE is required in each lab space, refer to the signage on the doors. Remember, even if you are not working with anything hazardous, someone near you may be. So, protect yourself. Place all backpacks and personal belongings in the provided cubicles. If it has to be on the floor, tuck it under the tables. Another important rule for lab safety is food and drinks. Food or drinks are not allowed in any of the labs at any time. This also means no gum chewing, lip balm application, or putting on lotion. Place all food and drinks on the provided carts outside the lab. Tie back your long hair and refrain from wearing loose, dangly jewelry, especially when working in the machine shop. All emergency numbers are posted by the lab phones. They are also located on the safety information boards. In case of a building-wide emergency, go to the nearest exit and make your way to the main quad.
Moving on to chemical and biological hazards. Before using a new chemical, you must first check the chemical and solvent safety data sheet and make sure you understand all potential hazards. Handle chemicals with extra care. Transport 4-liter solvent bottles within solvent carriers. All volatile solvents should be handled in a fume hood with proper PPE. Properly label all containers with the full name of the chemicals and place this container in secondary containment. When weighing out powders, make sure to brush off any spills into the solid waste receptacle and label hazardous tags accordingly. Place all empty chemical bottles in the provided bin. Do not throw empty bottles into the trash bin. Dispose of all hazardous waste in the proper receptacle. The identity and amount of all solvents discarded into the waste carboils must be clearly labeled on the waste tags. In case of spills or accidents, quarantine the area and alert your instructor or TA to assist in cleanup. Refer to the safety board for the proper way to clean up accidents and dispose of the material in the appropriate waste bin. Handle all biohazardous materials with care. BSL-1 biohazardous materials can be disposed of in the regular trash or poured down the sink after treating with 10% bleach. The entire teaching lab is a BSL-1 biological space with the exception of room 118. When dealing with BSL-2 material, make sure to keep it in lab 118 and dispose of waste in the red bins. Equipment. The teaching lab houses many instruments which you can access. However, you must first be given permission by your instructor or lab management, and you must also be properly trained. All equipment are assumed dirty and contaminated, so please wear gloves when operating in the lab. Make sure to wipe down and spray all equipment before and after use, paying close attention to buttons and handles. If you are using the lab for an extended duration, it is strongly advised to create a personal bin of lab supplies for your own use. Please work with your instructor or lab management on getting a designated cabinet space. When leaving experiments unattended, clearly label with the provided forms. All instruments in lab are meant to stay in lab and are only to be used for teaching purposes.
Finally, we come to cleanliness. A clean and orderly lab is a safe lab. Make sure your workspace is clean after you are done with your experiment. Put all the instruments and items back where they belong. The bench tops should be cleared for the next user. Sanitize your workspace with the provided 70% ethanol sprays. Spray the bench top, chairs, instruments, freezers, and anything you may have touched. Dispose of your purple gloves in the purple bins. If they are contaminated, place them in a solid hazardous waste bin and properly label the tags. Put your worn lab coats in the hamper. Do not abandon your lab coats on bench tops or chairs. The lab coats are laundered weekly for your usage.
Well, that pretty much sums up the rules and regulations of the teaching lab. But before we let you go, let us remind you that in addition to this safety video, refer to your instructor for additional safety information that's specific to your class.
Please also visit our website for additional information. Thank you, and stay safe, everyone.